Hey, what is up guys, this is Cob, and while it's true that Sorcerer might kind of suck right now, it doesn't mean that it can't be a lot of fun. If you're kind of tired of playing the old firewall leveling builds and all of that, then we've got a bit of a cold build here for you guys, actually a lot of a cold build. This build relies almost entirely on spamming blizzards forever, freezing the hell out of enemies, and abusing the crap out of your Ice Shards ability, more specifically your Enchanted Ice Shards ability, which is of course when you enchant your Ice Shards, you're just shooting Ice Shards out constantly at any enemies who are frozen, hands off the keyboard style. You know what I'm saying? So as you can see in the footage that is running right now, we're just kind of running through entire dungeons without almost ever stopping, just dropping blizzards behind us and using various mechanics that are incorporated into the build, both through aspects on our gear, as well as the way that the build in the skill build is designed to just be constantly replenishing mana and never having to stop moving. And it works pretty damn good. If you're tired of all of this firewall action, then this build guide is for you. I should also point out as well, just panning over to my character right here, that we were running this dungeon with a few legendaries, and I aspected a couple of these just to kind of show these in action, and I will go over the aspects a little bit later in the video as well, but we are running the aspect of Piercing Cold, which is Ice Shards will pierce enemies and deal a little bit less damage for every enemy that they pierce. And on the ring, we have another super important one, which is the Prodigies aspect. This is using a cooldown, restores a bunch of mana. And that's why in a lot of the background footage that you'll see running, I'm just using my teleport randomly. I'm dropping Frost Novas at times when I don't really need to. I'm using my barrier sometimes when I don't really need to. It's just to kind of pump up my mana again. So yeah, we'll get into aspects in just a little bit, but for now, let's run through the build, shall we? No, we won't. Before I forget, this is what your enchantments should be looking like as this build. Obviously, at level 15, you want to enchant your Ice Shards immediately so that your Ice Shards are shooting out of your character at anything that is frozen at any time. And obviously at level 30, well, not so obviously, works really, really good. Enchant your Fireball, put some skill points into Fireball. What does this do? It makes it so that every enemy you kill explodes with a fireball for about half of the fireball damage, and you can just blast entire packs of mobs exceptionally quickly. It's a really, really big power spike when you hit level 30 with this build. But even at level 15, it's pretty damn solid too. So yeah, those are the enchantments. Now for the skill build itself, we can start off at level 1 with kind of any ability. I like to go into Frostbolt just because it has that chill effect, and spamming chill on an enemy will eventually freeze them. So yeah, grand. You can actually eventually pull a point out of glinting Frostbolt a bit later on, because as you generate more and more tools for just generating mana on the fly, generating resource on the fly, then you end up just kind of never using Frostbolt, and you can replace it with another skill, but more on that in just a little bit. So because I hit level 30, I got around level 28, and I started putting points into Fireball, ready to actually enchant the Fireball and get that second enchantment slot, so that's what that's all about. Obviously, we go into Ice Shards, we go into Destructive Ice Shards to make enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds. Vulnerable's occurrence rate and potency was reduced a lot in Season 1, obviously, but it's still extremely powerful, It's still like a quarter more damage to a target, even with kind of poor gear, right? Which you're obviously going to have when leveling. A little bit later on, we put a couple of points into Teleport, Ice Armor, and Frost Nova. These are all extremely key, in my opinion. Teleport, I don't know, you can call it optional. You can put these points elsewhere if you want, I guess. I just really, really like it. And Ice Armor is super crucial for Enhanced Ice Armor, which is, once Ice Armor is active, your mana regeneration is increased by 25%. I didn't think this would be the biggest deal. It's a big deal. Like, as someone who hasn't played Sorcerer before, I should say, I didn't think this would be as big of a deal as it was. I'm mostly experiencing Sorcerer right now, and in the couple of weeks leading up to Season 1, so I'm still surprised by how powerful that crap is. I also go into Shimmering Ice Armor, which, yeah, I'm not sure that this is the way to go, really. I just like freezing effects. I like freezing enemies as much as possible to shoot out maximum Ice Shards, so I actually opt into that. Now, the Frost Nova stuff is kind of self-explanatory, so I won't go too much into that. I am also going to be putting more skills into these happy little defensive nodes right here, in the Conjuration area of the tree, which is obviously protection, and at a later date, probably Mana Shield. Extremely, extremely powerful defensive tools, but not super necessary right now for leveling. I wouldn't really prioritize them unless you just really need to get some points in something to progress onto your Mastery tree, where you can then pick up Blizzard and, most importantly, Wizard's Blizzard, which is why you have an active Blizzard, your core skills cost 20% less mana. excellent stuff. These skills right here are also super important to max out. You can max out either Cold Front or Snap Freeze first. For me, both of these are excellent. Snap Freeze, to be fair, you could probably forego this completely. Again, this is just more of a preference thing. I prioritize this over Cold Front. I'd probably end up ditching Snap Freeze altogether in the future with this build. But right now, yeah, I really like it, Ben. I like freeze and stuff, okay? Feel free to pull the points out there and slot them into Cold Front if you're not as much of a freeze enthusiast as I am. And all of these skills right here are extremely crucial. Increased cold damage to vulnerable enemies. Your Frost Nova is going to be making guys vulnerable. Your Ice Shards can make guys vulnerable. Extremely good. And obviously Hoarfrost as well. 9% increased damage to Chilled. 18% increased damage to Frozen. Fantastic stuff. Frigid Breeze is just going to help with your mana regeneration a lot, right? And yeah, once you start getting points into Frigid Breeze, that's when you can really start to look to not use your... What the hell is it called? Is it just Frostbolt? Yeah, you can just start to look to not use your Frostbolt at all. And I'm actually getting to around that stage right now with my build where I could pull this point right here out of Frostbolt, maybe even just put it into like Flame Shield or something like that, maybe even pick up an ultimate. Have fun with it, right? For me, it's probably going to be Flame Shield, just an extra defensive tool. And for your key passive, you're going to want to be picking up Avalanche. Shatter is really fun. It's good stuff, but just the raw power of Avalanche is actually crazy. This is what's giving you these free-to-cast blizzards, is what gives you unbelievable spread on your blizzards, that you can have like 3, 4, sometimes 5 down at a time. And the more blizzards you have up, the more guys are getting frozen and the more ice shards are shooting out at you constantly. It's just extremely fucking powerful, right? It's so good. Yeah, this is just another one I underestimated. I thought Shadow would be better. It really wasn't. Avalanche is awesome. And so that is the gist of the skill build. Now for aspects. God damn it. So we'll start off first with the offensive aspects and just kind of smash through these really quickly, because obviously with leveling, you can't really plan out too much which ones you're going to be using. You level out of gear very quickly. And yeah, it's cool to know to look out for these, but it's not absolutely mandatory to be picking these up and constantly re-aspecting them onto your gear. The first one, though, is Aspect of Piercing Cold, and this is the one that obviously allows your ice shards to kind of pierce through enemies. Very good for smashing you out through packs of mobs, packs of trash, right? As you've seen in the example clips that are running so far. It's very good stuff for us. And this is acquired in Dead Man's Dredge in the southeast of Fractured Peaks for your codex. Next up, we have the Aspect of Control, and this one allows you to deal just a crap ton of bonus damage to frozen targets. Again, not super mandatory, just nice to look out for. This one is picked up in Kyrgyzstan in the Sunken Library. And now we have a bunch of powerful aspects, offensive aspects at least, that you're going to be rolling your obols for, yeah, if you're looking for a sweet offensive aspect to pimp out your gear. And this first one is Glacial Aspect. This one reads, when you cast Blizzard, it will periodically spawn exploding ice spikes that deal a fixed amount of damage. Your ice spikes deal 50% increased damage to frozen enemies. I've actually rolled into this randomly once at a super low level. It felt extremely good. Like, it felt so good during level. I don't know how much this is going to scale, you know, later on in the game, but during leveling, this one is awesome to run into. And yeah, like with all of the offensive aspects, if you're going to be rolling O-balls to find any of these offensive aspects, like the one that we're covering right now, you want to be rolling for offhands, by the way, just to maximize your chance to actually roll into these. So yeah, the next one is the Aspect of Frozen Wake, or the Frozen Wake rather. And this one reads, while Ice Armor is active, you leave behind exploding ice spikes that deal, again, a bunch of damage. Your ice spikes will also chill enemies by 15%. So once again, if you want this, you want to be rolling for offhands with your O-balls. Next one is Aspect of Frozen Memories. The Avalanche key passive now applies to one additional cast. So this is sweet. Your Avalanche key passive is the one that basically you get a proc that allows you to cast a Blizzard or an Ice Shards for free, and it deals 40% bonus damage. Well, now you get 2 of them on the bounce. So this one just seems pretty sweet to get as well. Yeah, if you look out and get it from your offhand O-balls action. All right, before we get into the defensive aspects, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you are enjoying it, if you are getting something from it. I'd really appreciate that. We're a small channel over here. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, man, first of the defensive aspects, and this one is from the Putrid Aquifer in Kyrgyzstan. pretty sweet action. This one is Aspect of the Unwavering. Taking damage has a 2 to 6% chance to reset the cooldown of your defensive skills. Of course, we already have a skill in our skill tree that does something similar. It's like when you land critical damage, you have a chance to reset the cooldown of one of your defensive skills too. You have a lot of very, very powerful defensive skills, and with another aspect that we're going to get to in a little bit, using your defensive skills is going to be regenerating you a ton of mana as well. So, yeah. Again, this one's just awesome. Look out for it. You can get this one in your codex, as aforementioned. Next up, we have Snow Guard's aspect. This one reads, while within your own blizzard, which is kind of all the time, or at least like you spend a good portion of your time in your own blizzard, you take 20 to 25% less damage. This just seems insane. This is a massive, massive damage mitigator. And while leveling, I don't think it's the most important thing, but maybe if you're running like a hardcore character, this could be goddamn important to pick up while leveling. I don't know. As you're pushing into higher tiers of content stuff, this one might become more valuable if you're continuing to run this build into, the level 50s, 60s, 70s. One to look out for, seems extremely strong to me. This one is picked up in the Fetid Mausoleum in Hawazar. And the next two are both Obol's legendary aspects, and these ones are acquired most often by rolling your Obols on pants. That is leg gear for these aspects right here. The first one is the Ever-Living aspect. You take 20 to 25% less damage from crowd-controlled or vulnerable enemies. Again, amazing. So good, right? Every target you're ever going to face while playing as Cold Sorcerer is going to be crowd controlled. They're going to be slowed. They're going to be chilled, right? Yeah, just extremely, extremely powerful stuff. Again, that's rolling Obols for pants if you're looking for that one. And the next one, also rolling on pants, is Frost Blitz Aspect. Frost Nova gains an additional charge, but the cooldown per charge is increased by 30 to 40%. Yeah, you're using Frost Nova all the time. This is just awesome. You've got many, many ways of resetting cooldowns as well, so you'll be resetting the cooldown on these charges very often too. It's just awesome. Look out for it on your pants, goddammit. And that brings us to the resource and utility aspects, and there's only one that I'm really going to draw attention to that I think is just sweet for this build in particular, at least. Seems kind of mandatory as you're getting towards the higher levels and you're pushing into Well Tier 2 and stuff like I am right now. And soon into Well Tier 3, hopefully. And that is the Prodigies aspect, which we've already covered. And this is using a cooldown restores a bunch of your mana, right? And you can acquire this one from completing the Witchwater dungeon in Hawazar. It's awesome. It makes it so that all of your defensive cooldowns replenish a bunch of mana for you. And because we're scaling into like minimum 3 defensive abilities, probably Flame Shield is going to be replacing Frostbolt as well. That's going to be 4 cooldowns that you're able to kind of rotate your way through. You're resetting the cooldown on them all the time. You're using them all the time to replenish mana. It's like, bro, things are going to get out of control with this build, right? As you start to approach like the mid-level 30s and stuff like that, It's really going to start to come into its own. So yeah, I think that's everything. I think that's the damn build, man. That's the build that I'm playing right now. That's the build I'm having a lot of fun with right now in Season 1. And hopefully some of this video is going to be useful to y'all, especially for any new Sorcerer players that are looking for a challenge in Season 1 by rolling with Sorcerer, because that's certainly what I'm doing, But all right, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you all did enjoy. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that good stuff if you did. And I shall catch all of you guys just a tad bit later.